So what is a synchronicity? I'll go directly into the diagram that you can see. Again, for those who are watching the video book, it's on your left hand side, and for those who are reading the ebook or physical book, it's above. By understanding the diagram, you will understand what is synchronicity. As you already know, my style of exposition of any topic is diagram based. What it means is that instead of trying to make you understand the concept through words, I first draw the diagrams, and then my burden becomes to make you understand the diagram. And the magical thing happens that if you understand the diagram, you understand the concept. Many times it's much easier to understand a diagram than the concept. So it's a trick as a writer that I have learned to master. As I told you earlier on, also, I use diagrams a lot in my training, seminars, and counseling sessions. Everybody just gets the point right away without much further frustrating explanations. So let's start with the diagram of synchronicity. First of all, I would like you to take a look at the box on your rightmost side. At the center of the box, you will see event being written. This is because synchronicity is one type of event. What are the other types of event? We'll find out very soon. So the event is caused through our actions or karma. For example, if you speed your vehicle beyond the ability for you to control, the event most likely to occur is an accident. So that is an example of karma triggered event. Then there are some events that have unknown causes. For example, as you walk down the street, a piano falls from the 10th floor of a building that you walk past, and it either misses you or hits you. So this very cliche example about bad luck is an unknown cause triggered event. This is because we have no direct relationship with that event. And then each event can be expected or unexpected. For example, you study in the exam and you get good results, that is expected. But at the same time, you might get bad results despite studying well, and that is unexpected. Now you have understood that box. Let's move to the graph below. Like every graph, it has two axes. The x-axis is one of timing, sequence, place, and person. So if you go towards the left hand side, it will be in the wrong direction, and if you go on the right hand side, it will be towards the right direction of all the above parameters. As you might have already guessed, I will be using this graph to plot various events, and from the coordinates that the events will bear, I will derive what is a synchronicity. So on the y-axis, it is about the benefit and harm. So if you go above or higher the x-axis, then it means that the event is more beneficial, and if you go lower or towards the bottom, it means it is more harmful. Next, you will see that I have drawn a line passing through the intersection of the two axes. There are various events from 1 to 8. Now, for example, event number 8 has the coordinates that say that this one is neutral in terms of timing, sequence, place, and person, as well as in terms of benefit or harm. On the other hand, if you can look at the upper right, event 4 It has the coordinates that would say the event occurred at the right timing, in the right sequence, at the right place, for the right with the right person. And then also it is very beneficial for that person. Then in the other extreme, you have event number 7 at the lower end towards the left. Well, that event would have coordinates of being in the wrong timing, wrong sequence, wrong place, and wrong persons being involved, and it will also be more harmful. I will not elaborate too much on each of the points because they are quite obvious, and also because this chapter is very long, and if I lose my way trying to illustrate in detail each of the components, it will become too long, and not only will it bore you, but it will do injustice to the objective of this book, which is to teach you unified meditation. But without you knowing about the 13 components of consciousness, which are actually going to be used as mediums to measure your effectiveness in meditation, like I have earlier mentioned to you, the parallel between biofeedback and consciousness feedback, you will not be able to reap the full benefits of meditation, not only mine, unified meditation, but any meditation. So now let me take you to the three boxes at the top. You can read that they read event 7, event 8, and event 4. You can find them in the graph below based on the coordinates that I have mentioned to you. I have summarized them into two words that would describe that particular property of the event. So event 7 is random and harmful. This is how we would interpret a sheer stroke of bad luck, like the piano falling on top of our head while we are walking innocently on the roads. Event 8 would be a coincidence and would be neutral. So you meet an acquaintance on the road who you know that lives around the place, and well, there is no harm done. It's a neutral thing. No business or no new opportunities would come from that, or looking at hindsight, did come from that. It was a pleasant coincidence, you can say. Event 4, on the other hand, we would call it a synchronicity because everything was just right. The timing was perfect because it did not disturb other activities of yours. The sequence of events that occurred to lead you to that final event was also perfect. Place couldn't have been better, and the people involved were the most appropriate for that situation. And the overall outcome of that event is beneficial, and even in hindsight, it could have been life changing. A quick example of that would be meeting the love of your life, or a business partner in the future, or just missing an accident. Alternatively, it could be a complex event that requires a lot of thinking to determine whether it was a synchronicity or a coincidence. Like I experienced one time when a very negative event happened in my life, but the timing, the sequence, the place, and the people involved were so right that what could have turned out, or what was definitely bound to be a disaster, ended up being a blessing in disguise. And I know that this is a thing that you can relate to very well also, because it occurs in many people's lives. So that is what I call synchronicity. As you have been introduced to layer 2 components in the earlier section, let me first talk about mind uh, and the feelings and thinking associated with that component. Again, I'll go directly into explaining those concepts based on the tables that you can see. Just to inform you, the source of the information on those tables are from my book that I've written to you uh, below, and the corresponding chapter. So if you want to learn more about it, then you can browse through that book in that particular chapter. Also, I have used a lot of research from the various Google pages for developing the table on thinking, because there is no single page that I used, and I used many pages and lots of my own research prior to that. I cannot make any citations here. So let's look at the first table on your left hand side. We all have governing feeling. What it means, again based on my book Overcoming Suffering, is that people are like the characters of movies and books. They are very predictable because somehow inbuilt in them is a predisposition to feel in a certain way and to think in a certain way. Even though we would disagree on that, the reality is certain feelings and thinking patterns pull our strings more than any others. So, what are the various feelings that affect us more than the others? Well, for that, you would have to look at the overall spectrum. In this way, I have designed this table for your reference, and you can choose yourself which is your governing feeling. Let me explain to you how to read that particular table. There is a line with two feelings separated by a long arrow. These two feelings are opposite to one another but related to one another. The arrow represents milder forms of the feelings at the two extremes. Sometimes we could put a name to them, and sometimes we would find hard to find a particular word to fit that transitory level between the two extremes. So let me try to go through all the continuums or spectrums. Please note that the words on the left hand side represent less evolved feelings, and on the right hand side they represent the more evolved feelings, and that is the same principle used in the diagram for the thinking continuum, by the way. So on the first line in the feeling continuum, you have fear, and at the other extreme, you have purity. I will not elaborate the meaning of the various words because it will be too lengthy. So I will just mention the words. Next, you have guilt as opposed to dignified. Some people are governed by loneliness and others are governed by connectedness. Some people feel tired most of the time and other people feel energetic most of the time. Some people act out of disgust while others act out of pride. For some people, jealousy is the modus operandi, while for others it is contentment. Some people are so easily insulted while others always feel flattered. Some people base their actions on arrogance, while others on humility. Some people live on anger, while others live on enjoyment. Some people anxiety their way of life, while for others, calmness is the way to go. Some people are always bitter towards life, and others sweet. Some people find themselves always bored, while others find themselves always excited. Below this table, you can see person A, person B, person C, which is represented by circles of different colors. What I'm trying to show you is person A is mainly governed by something between being always tired and always energetic, while person B is governed by calmness, and person C is governed by guilt. Now, let us look at the thinking continuum, which is based on the same principles layout as the earlier diagram. So, somebody might be heavily reliant on simplistic thinking at one extreme, and somebody else on abstract thinking on the other extreme. Somebody may look at the world in a ritualistic thinking manner, while another one in an application thinking manner. Somebody might spend his time overthinking, while another person would spend his time thinking concretely about anything. People wouldn't mind thinking foolishly, while another person would be thinking critically. Whenever faced with a problem, somebody might be using scattered thinking, while another one might be using convergent thinking to come to a solution. Faced with various unexpected scenarios, somebody might be thinking very narrowly, while somebody else might be thinking broadly and divergently. Facing the inexplicable, somebody might resort to irrational thinking, while somebody else to rational and linear thinking. Someone might prefer to stick to a biased way of thinking, being more safe and conventional, while another one to nonlinear thinking, even though it is unexplored. When faced with the unknown, somebody might resort to assumptive thinking, while another one might tend towards analytical thinking. Faced with the need to come up with some ideas, someone might be using unidirectional thinking, while another person might be using lateral and associative thinking. Challenged with doom and problematic situation, somebody might develop fatalistic thinking, while somebody to creative thinking. Faced with lots of data, somebody might be thinking blindly, and somebody else might be thinking in terms of metacognition. Again, just to illustrate, uh, with the various persons that we discussed earlier. Person A seems to be governed by something in between foolish thinking and critical thinking. So at times he would act like a fool, and at times he would occur as a wise person. Person B bases his life decisions and interaction with other people on his unidirectional thinking. So this person would be a very straight kind of guy, no nonsense, to the point, but would lack diversity and wouldn't be much fun to be with. Person C is governed by critical thinking. So if he was a character in a movie or book, he would be the kind of guy who would come up with highly unexpected and unique solutions to the various obstacles the writer or the nature throws at him. So in this way, you learned the various components of the mind and the feelings and the thoughts that it is made of. Again, just to clarify, evolution then is to move our governing feelings and thinking from the left hand side words or parameters to the right hand side words or parameters. By so doing, we would be evolving our minds, that is, our feelings and thinking.